Don't want to drink on my face because that would bring us up. Are we good? Do we have fire? Please don't let the fire stay stuck. Okay. I feel like I'm okay. I don't like fire. We are going to be doing the Estes method, and for... Don't do that shit to me. I'm legitimately in a freaking haunted saloon. I see dead people for a fucking living, and you're just gonna come out eating a cookie in a dark black coat? What are you doing?
What do you know? I'm going upstairs now.
I thought you were already going upstairs, which is why you caught me off guard.
How are you cooking?
Dear Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh, good golly, Miss Molly. Anywho, we are doing the Estes method.
I keep seeing people in the walls, and I feel like, well, one, this is called the crypt, but that doesn't mean that it's a morgue, but I feel like this is a morgue because they're making me feel like there's bodies stacked on top of bodies here. And they're also making me feel like this is kind of like, and I don't know, I feel like people were kept down here for a while. They're not making me feel like people came down here. I don't feel like people left here very soon after coming in here. Does that make sense to you, Ben?
Oh, that makes total sense.
Okay, because, like, I'm legitimately seeing people stacked up against the walls. And it's really weird how I'm seeing it because you would think that they would be like you would think that people would be stuck in boxes or stuck in things. I don't necessarily think that they were. I feel like they legit were just stacked on top of people. Also, do we know if there were a ton of people placed into the situation like after a mining disaster and or a fire? Because what they're doing is they're taking my breath away, which usually means to me like I can't breathe, I'm suffocating. They're literally making me feel like I'm suffocating. And so how they're presenting this to me is that there was like a huge disaster that took place in town where this kind of was the place that they took the people that kind of needed to be housed until they could all like be buried or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need is
Okay.
just a yes or a no. I don't need anything else because, like I said, it's not really my job to say it. Anybody who watches this, y'all can Google. I don't know. You can Google if you want. I'm sure you can find it on Google also. I am going to tell you, like, something happened in this space also. There's a gentleman. I don't know if he's down here. I think he's somewhere else. There's a gentleman that is getting whacked over his head with like a mallet. And I feel like his body was placed somewhere, but I don't necessarily feel like it was here. And once again, just yes or no, does that make any sense to you? Because I don't think they told you all of the story.
No.
And he's making me feel like he's not part of the story that you were told. But this guy 100% was literally whacked. He's like, whoop. He's making me feel like it hit him on the side of his head, like I hear a crack taking place, and he's also making me feel like after that, and it happened upstairs, by the way, and this was over money. This is over stupid shit, he says. This is 100% money related. This is like, oh God, there's so much stuff here, guys. Like, I'm standing in a place where it's just like this is a morgue. This is like where people go after they've already passed. There's a lot of people that are here, actually here in this location. So it's actually really craziness to me right now to have this many people talking to me. So this dude is getting whacked on his head. He's making me feel like he ain't the only one. I feel like there's also somebody, there's like, he's showing me a shootout that's taken place. We've got a lot of stuff actually that took place upstairs, which is probably why it feels very muffled to me downstairs, because I don't think a lot of the stuff, this is like a ruse. It's almost like the downstairs part of this building was more like a cover-up for the crap that was going on upstairs, almost, is how he's presenting this to me. And so I guess we can go up that way is where we're gonna go. So in order to get up the stairs, like you have to go up like 3 flights of stairs. It's nutty. And then we come in this door, and then we are in this big, huge space. And to be completely honest, how I see this space is completely separate from the downstairs. I don't see it as the same as the downstairs. Like I said, what I personally receive in this, yeah, hold on. Stop it.
Is somebody messing with you?
Every single time I start trying to talk, I'm getting this, like, it feels like fire in my abdomen. Generally speaking, that's somebody telling me to shut up, which I've already had a couple different amazing, wonderful, old school people tell me that I should not be speaking the way that I'm speaking. So we're just gonna give them love and admit that yes, if I were back in the 1800s, I would probably have been burned at the stake, but I'm not. It is 2023, fellers. Therefore, I am not in that space. Anyway, maybe they just don't want me telling their story. Maybe that's the issue. Because how I see this, Ben, don't take offense to this, my husband's a Mason. I see this as almost like a Mason lodge, okay? I see this as more of a club which is separate from the downstairs. So I know it's called the Washoe Club. However, what I'm picking up on is that downstairs was more of like the saloon area. I feel like was, and once again, don't know if I'm right, don't know if I'm wrong. I'm just talking out my ass at this point. But how they're presenting this to me is that the downstairs was more for everybody versus up here, which was not. And up here, this is where all the crazy stuff actually ended up taking place. And it's very strange to me because right now what we're seeing, and Ben, if you can walk with me so people can actually see the building itself, like do a spin. What we're seeing right now is this big open area. But that's not how I'm seeing it. What I'm seeing are actual spaces that are closed off, and it's like different rooms for different things, for different experiences that people want to have up here based on what those things are. And so there are some, now I'm not going to speak ill because I don't think this is a negative thing per se. I guess that's your interpretation, take it how you will. I think that this was a club for people who had money and people who like to spend their money and people who like to do things with said money. But also I feel like sometimes there were people involved in this, just like today. Won't say names, but there are people today that like to do bad things with the money that they have. Stop touching me. Hold on. I need to go this way. But there are people who like to do bad things that have money. That doesn't mean everybody that was a part of this club was bad. I feel like there were 2 different groups actually in how they're representing this to me. They're making me feel like there were the people who kind of probably were the good people who wanted to do like, I can't breathe, wanted to do everything the best way that they possibly could. But then there's like the other people who probably were doing shadier stuff behind the backs of the people who were a part of the same club, but not necessarily a part of that group, if that makes any sense to you. Because it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of bad eggs in the bunch, it feels like there's a couple bad eggs in the bunch. And so those couple bad eggs in the bunch are the ones who kind of spoiled it for everybody, essentially, is how they're giving it to me. And I also feel like there are like, there's a lot of people up here. I don't know what ended up causing this to fall or fail or why it's not a thing anymore, other than the fact that everything changed and time ended up taking place. And obviously Silver City is not the booming gold rush town or silver town that it used to be. But they're really making me feel like the reason why this went to the wayside was more because of the people versus the location. And so I literally have like an angel and a devil right now sitting on my shoulder. I'm saying that, when I say literally, please take that figuratively. Because I have like this guy who keeps pulling me back this way, who's a little bit more on the rambunctious side. But then I have this really nice businessman who's standing with me right now. Very good guy, actually very amazing guy. I think that everybody flippin' loved him in the town, and I think that he created this space for the right reasons. I don't necessarily know if he's the one that ended up with it long term, because I feel like it kind of changed hands through different people over maybe like a 10-year period, maybe 15-year period, but I'm gonna say 10 big time. And they're making me feel like because of the changing of the hands, that's where we start to get the things, because you know people are trying to continue on the process, but they're doing it by any means possible, if that makes any sense to you. And so yes, there are a couple bad eggs in the bunch. However, I'm not gonna say that everybody that was in this establishment was bad. Are there negative things? Yes. I'm also going to say that the negative things that are a part of this space, like energy-wise, I don't think it's negative energies, like human energies. I think this is negative energies due to other aspects of the town itself and the founding experiences themselves. This has absolutely nothing to do with this place. This place is actually pretty cool. I gotta tell you, energy-wise, like these people are a hoot. These are people that I would have loved to have hung around with. And I am gonna also tell you, like, this is a lot of prostitution in this town. I don't know if it's specifically in here in this building. I think it was. But I'm also gonna tell you, like, how they're presenting this to me is they're really making me feel like this is where, like, you know how you have a side chick? I feel like this is where you and your side chick used to come. They're making me feel like this is where we used to be. You know, we didn't want our wives to find out. And so this is kind of where we come, and this is where we bring the action, and this is where things go down, so to speak. However, because of that, there's also a lot of other stuff that ends up going down in the space, which is a little iffy. I guess I'll say it that way. Thank you so much. Very cool. Already know this. Don't know this way, but I do know that Mark Twain was a part of the town because he was a part of like the paper. We saw that earlier, actually. I saw that in a window. Interesting enough, I think he also was here because they're almost making me feel like he also was a patron of this establishment, is how this gentleman is giving this to me. And so now he's taking me on a tour through the space, which I'm gonna tell you also, I'm not seeing this space the way that you guys are seeing this space. I'm seeing this space a little bit differently. I'm seeing it the way that it would have been versus what it is now. And also it's very strange because like, I don't know, I feel like there was a fire. There was like this fire that takes place and they're literally making me feel like because of that, the structures had to be rebuilt, okay? But unfortunately, after the structures have to be rebuilt, I don't feel like they were always rebuilt the way that they were supposed to be rebuilt. And for some reason, like this is beautiful and it's sturdy and it's an amazing building, by the way. And I don't know if the fire actually took place here. I'm just saying they're literally giving it in a whole town experience. They're not making me feel like it was this building per se. I feel like it's like extending out. But they are making me feel like there was a lot of like water damage in this building. And they're making me feel like the water damage in this building is why it doesn't look the way that it did. This is not how it looked. This is like, we're talking like beautiful wallpaper. We're talking amazing floors. I'm gonna say there's probably like some gold accents and stuff. Really frilly shit for some dudes. Not judging, but also gonna say that I feel like it was a lot more hyped up than what you guys are seeing this right now. That's not how I'm seeing this. I'm seeing it as a beautiful space to come in. And so these floors are not the floors that they would have walked on. They had beautiful carpeted floors. And I believe that they probably put their $1 million into this space. The way that they're showing it to me is like legit making me feel like they made it look like a millionaire's club. Okay, this is fun. This is interesting. Wow, I don't like you, and I'm sorry. I just got a thing for dolls and weird shit like that, but that's cool. You threw me off. I didn't see you standing there, sir. Wowzers.
There's a couple mannequins in here.
Thanks. I saw him before, but I didn't know it was in this room because it's like a maze up here. I don't know why they're bringing me into this room, although I feel, and I don't know if it was this room, because I'm confused. And thank you. Get me in a different place. So they're taking rooms and they're putting them together for me, but they're separated as I stated. Now, did people, Ben, I feel like certain people lived here. Does that make sense to
Yes.
you? Okay, because they're making me feel like this is like actually a room. They're making me feel like this is like a place of living for some people. So yes, you have like, don't you dare. I hope you can get the SLS camera working for me because that mannequin has a spirit in it.
Really?
Yes, it does. Absolutely does. Wow. Okay, so, they're making me feel like the people who would come, because I don't think the people who were a part of this establishment or part of the club as a whole, they're kind of making me feel like not every single one of them lived here. And so what they're doing is they're making me feel like they would travel. And so when they would travel, they would have a place to stay. And this was part of the place that they would have to stay. And so they would have rooms already made up essentially for the people who wanted a place to stay. And also on top of that, like, we're gonna walk to another space because they're making me feel like there are also other spaces that were probably, and I do have to ask you, Ben, I'm gonna say this so mean. Do not take offense to this. I'm speaking Spirit's words. Please do not get offended. If you're watching this, do not get offended by what I'm going to say, okay? I'm gonna have to put a trigger warning on this. I speak through Spirit. I don't hold Spirit back. They get to say what they want to say. That's part of the pizzazz and how they say it to me. Were the hoes upstairs?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because they're making me feel like most of the prostitution took place upstairs. But these are not necessarily prostitutes that like were stuck here. I'm also going to tell you, they're making me feel like these aren't like, I feel like they come and they go, okay? I don't feel like it's one here, one here. I feel like they kind of bring them in as needed, almost, is how they're presenting it to me. They're not making me feel like this is like a situation where they had like one of the greatest just hosted upstairs, locked in a room. That's not how he's giving this to me. He's making me feel like this is a little bit different of a situation. And so they're making me feel like that's kind of what it was. Also, these were high-end ladies. He's making me feel like they actually respected them a lot. He is making me feel like when they were here, essentially their wives were at home, they were with the kids. Once again, I don't judge people, that's why I do what I do. He's making me feel like because of that, when they were here, they were the spouse of the person that they were with. And once again, please, wallpaper. See what I'm talking about? Look at how beautiful this is. This is not, what you guys saw out there is not how it would have looked. This looks completely different. He is making me feel like the women that they had here were actually highly respected and they were treated with a lot of love. They weren't necessarily treated as crap. And once again, y'all, please just take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt from a man who's lived in the 1800s. That's how I'm going to say that because I don't know how else to warn you about words. I know that people, but I mean, he is what he is. Thank you. Understandable.
What was that?
There's a lot of people here who have had bad experiences, which is interesting to me. This is a ballroom. And the only reason I make that is because it's actually got a lot of energy, but it's a lot of energy for really good reasons. And I'm also going to say that, Ben, take a sniff if you can smell. I know that your nose sucks most of the time, but tell me if you can smell the cigar smoke. Because it legit smells like cigar smoke up here. It's absolutely phenomenal how deep it is right now. It's a very sweet, sweet smell that I'm smelling, but it's not like the cherry type of stuff that you would smell today. This actually smells a little bit different.
Smells like what my great-grandpa used to smoke.
This smells more vanilla-y to me. And so it's actually, it's wonderful. They're just saying, hey, that's all they're doing is saying, hey, this used to be a ballroom, and they're making me feel like this is part of the thing. They used to probably run a lot of, I mean, obviously parties up here. No shit, Sherlock. Oh, but I don't, Ben, also, question.
What?
Question. Okay, so I don't know what he told you. Zach is the guy who led Ben through here, and I don't know what he told him. I know he told him sporadic stuff, and he was very good at, I guess, what he told him, and he was really into it. Zach was awesome. Thank you, Zach, if you're watching. But I'm also going to say, like, did he talk about any negative energies that people experience up here? Or
Yes.
anything that they feel might be off or negative in
Yes.
space? Okay. That they might perceive as being a negative entity or something along those lines. And I said it that way because that's not how I'm receiving it. They are very protective of their space. Also, take a whiff again.
Yep.
It's literally following us where we're at. That's insane. Different parts of the space were for different parts of people. And you'd have more wily actions in certain areas. And I think this was one of the more wily actions. And they're kind of making me feel like the rowdier group kind of hung out here after hours and did their stuff here, which I don't necessarily... I'm going to tell you, there's some shady crap that goes on here because he's being very particular of what he tells me. He's not wanting to tell me the bad stuff. However, there is something coming through with a woman. It is like this story. It's almost like this love story, not love story situation is the best way that I can tell you. And it's confusing me based on how they're giving it to me, because I feel like she was taken advantage of is the best way that I can say this. And I know she's here, and I think that that's like what is holding me back, because like, and I'm gonna say before I go any further, yes or no, Ben, does that make any sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if she also was killed?
Yes.
Okay. Because like her whole life is over. I mean, like, there's a lot of emotions here, and it's almost like, you know, they're afraid to open that floodgate of emotions with me almost. But it's because, once again, this is a different time period, and because things were the way that they were, it was easier to sweep things under the rug and ignore the stories as a whole, and it was easier to make it look like an accident than anything else. But I don't think it was an accident, and it makes me really sad because she's really sad. And she is not okay with the situation, the way that the situation went. Because I do feel like she lost. She's making me feel like she lost part of herself in this. Like, but I feel like I lost physical part of myself. Like, it's heavy. And the only way that I can describe this is like, it'd be like me losing Corey is the only way that I can describe this. It's like heavy. And she's making me feel like she had no choice. She's making me feel like her choice was made for her, and she didn't have a say in what happened. And I feel like this happened because of one of these people. However, I'm also going to separate him from the rest of the group, which makes it even more chaotic of a story, because I feel like he needed to be protected, but at the same time, I don't think he had protection, okay? So it's not necessarily like everybody turned a blind eye, even though I think originally that's what happened. I feel like her body was found. I feel like her story was found. She's making me feel like it wasn't discovered right away, but it kind of came to the surface, but also at the same time, she's making me feel like her full story hasn't actually been told. And so how she's giving this to me, as well as him, it's kind of like I have, once again, this like back and forth thing that's taking place inside of my own psyche right now, because I have this deeper version of events that's playing out over here, and he's wanting me to focus on these events. And he's a great, amazing, wonderful human being. I like him. He's cool. He's funny. He's charismatic. I believe fully that he was truly energetic in this town, and I do believe he was a staple to this town. I almost want to say that I feel like he was probably a mining mogul, based on how I'm receiving him. but she's making me feel like she was just caught in the crosshairs of a situation that she wasn't fully prepared to deal with, because I don't feel like I'm mentally, emotionally, or even in age adequately able to take on some of these deep behaviors, stories, and manipulations the way that it happened, I guess is all I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to be careful because she's really not talking to me with her words. She is talking to me with feelings. And so I don't want to twist what she's saying to me, but I'm going to tell you that I fully believe that she lost her life, and she is making me feel like she doesn't want to leave because of that situation. And it's not necessarily because she can't, because she's not making me feel like she's stuck here per se, but she is making me feel like it's almost like sometimes it's hard to leave something that was tragic. Sometimes it's hard to walk away from that situation. And I think that that's kind of beautiful how she's putting it. Oh, she's making me so emotional. Because it's like trauma. It's like our traumatic experiences that we experience in life, they're hard to walk away from because something in us keeps pulling us back. And she's making me feel like something keeps pulling her back. And it's like really sad. And I feel like her hands were completely tied behind her back. And I don't think she had a say at all in what happened to her at all. And I feel like she was like stuck in this space. She's not making me feel like she was safe at all. And it just really makes me sad for her because it shouldn't have been like that. And so, yeah, she is really emotional and she is making me feel like there's a lot of emotions here. She's a beautiful person. She's a kind person. But her experience was not. And so I do believe that people probably still see her or hear her maybe crying. because that's kind of the energy that I receive from her, but she is making me feel like sometimes people will see her wisping through the halls, is how she's putting this. I also want to say that I almost feel like sometimes like she's not nice. She's making me feel like sometimes she's a little bit mean to people. And can we blame her? This is from one woman to another. People who live in traumatic situations. I've had traumatic situations of my own. Sometimes we're not the nicest after we go through those experiences, and so she's making me feel like she determines how she treats you based on the energy that you show. And so if you're somebody who comes into this location or comes into this space, I really want to say that she comes almost through as a banshee, is how I'm receiving her. She's making me feel like sometimes she screams in people's faces and like terrifies them, because I feel like I'm getting bum rushed with all of her energy. Which to me means that she's coming at you with all of her anger, all of her pain, all of her hurt, all of her frustration, all of everything. And she is just making me feel like that's kind of one of the situations, I guess, that she deals with. So yeah, that's the story that's being told to me. And I don't know if that's something in line with what Ben's been told, but I can tell you she is absolutely phenomenal, and I really pray she finds peace, because that's a frustrating experience to have to live, because I feel like she fought. She's making me feel like she fought as hard as she could to not have this situation happen, but this guy was just not a good guy, and I feel like he was really a match that she couldn't fight with. And I feel like she's frustrated because other people were here when that happened. They weren't alone. There were people who were here. And she's making me feel like people witnessed the situation kind of unfold. I don't think they maybe, and I'm going to say this very loosely, because how she's doing this is she's separating me from reality, which means their words are, we didn't know, we didn't hear, we weren't there, we didn't see, this is what they're told. She's telling me that's not true. She's telling me that they were. And she's telling me that people saw far more leading up to this situation than what, like, he could have just let her go. Like, that's what she's making me feel. Like, she's so angry about that because he could have just let her go. And that's where her anger lies. And she understands, like, past. She gets it. She understands it. But she's also making me feel like she's never had the grace of closure. She's making me feel like things were never fully taken care of, and her story was really never told, because I feel like she was essentially thrown away like trash. And she's just not making me feel like she was ever given the love. She had a family too. She had friends too. Even though she wasn't a part of those families at that time, she's making me feel like she did. She's literally making me feel like I traveled here. I don't feel like I'm from here. I feel like I'm moving here. I feel like I'm coming to this space. And so it's not like my town. However, you know, everybody knows me. Everybody knows who I am. I thought people liked me. And there's a lot of emotions here that she's trying to digest through the situation. And unfortunately, after, I don't know what, 100 and some years, she's making me feel like it's still hard for her to digest. So I just want to bless her and tell her I'm sorry that that's been her experience. And I'm also going to tell you, like, I don't know what happened to that dude. Do you know what happened to the dude? Just yes or no?
There's a lot of dudes. I don't know which one you're speaking of.
Okay, the guy who did this to her.
No, I did not hear anything about.
You did not hear what happened
Nope.
after the fact. Okay. Because I don't feel like he lived very long afterwards. She's making me feel like he didn't meet a good end either. I think that things ended up happening to him too, which I will say I think that sometimes he might still hang out here too, because she's almost making me feel like we still cross paths, god damn it. So yeah, that's that situation. I'm gonna walk back this way. Oh, my lands. I don't know where it is. Thank you. I don't know where you're taking me. makes a lot of sense. So there's a creepy dude that likes to stand up here on the stairs. Don't know who he is. Also gonna tell you, I think that sometimes people feel like they're gonna get pushed by him because he's intimidating. But he likes to stand right up there at the top of the steps. And it's funny because like I hear him walking around, which means to me that he also likes to throw his weight around and like stomp sometimes. But once again, I don't really necessarily know that he's intimidating. I feel like sometimes people get intimidated by spirit when they're really not intimidating, if that makes sense. It's just their energy. And because he's had the time to like be around here, I feel like he has had the space to utilize this energy the best way he can. Also gonna tell you, I feel like it really frustrates him that they don't have electricity up here, because it would be far easier for him to use the energy if he had energy to use. Whoa, no, stop. Whew. Not okay. Back up. Whoa, no. Stop. Whew. Not okay. Back up. Huh. Yeah, I don't really care who you are. Thank you. There's a gunfight. Sorry. Random, sorry. There's a gunfight that takes place up here. And I feel like it's like an actual brawl. I want to say that it's between two people, but I think that other people got involved. Don't you dare touch me there. You're not allowed to do that. Keep your hands off me, please. Thank you. Don't. Okay. I think I'm just gonna walk. He's making me walk. And it's gonna take me a minute because major shift in energy here. I feel like there's a shadow person up here. They're making me feel this is a completely different freaking energy. It's gonna take me a minute, sorry. Okay, sorry. It's gonna take me a minute because it's not good vibes up here. So, they don't like you up here.
No.
This is their space. This is their spot. This is theirs. And they don't like you up here. As a matter of fact, how they're giving this to me and showing this to me is that they're making me feel like if people try to come up here, they try to move them back down like they just did me. They're making me feel like they really try to scare the crap out of people, because I feel like this is like the elite of the elite. It's almost like the higher we go, the higher, like more money we have, almost is essentially how they're presenting this to me. But at the same time, that's not what's here now. Like, this actually has nothing to do with the Washoe Club. I feel like the energies up here are energies that have come in over the years and just kind of like, do you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what's up here is not necessarily based on the actual Washoe now. They're almost making me feel like there are other energies who have moved in. And to be completely honest, I feel like, stop doing that to me. I feel like the person that stands on top of the stairs, the dude that stands on top of the stairs, I feel like his job is to keep the people, I feel like his job is to keep people out. It's almost like he's somebody who is actually supposed to be some kind of a bouncer, like to keep people. You know how like in the Masons they
Yeah.
have people standing at the door.
Yes.
I feel like his job now in death is actually to stand at the door, essentially at the top of the stairs. And also, I do believe that he was somebody that was also well known in this area, because they're making me feel like everybody fucking knows me, is how he's giving me his energy. And so he's not necessarily making me feel like he has any want or need to interact. However, I would like to point out to him in his attitude that he's already interacted with me. So it's him that's doing the stomach thing. Also, there is like a crazy illness that comes through this place. And I feel like everybody needs to understand that this doesn't have to be directly related to the Washoe Club, because I don't feel like it is. But I do believe fully that there was a huge illness, 2 of them, that kind of ravaged in different points, ravaged this town tremendously. And there were some very, very sick people. It's almost like the plague is how they're presenting it to me. They're making me feel like people got sick, and they ended up dying. There's a lot of heart, stomach, vomiting. There's a lot of like vomiting. There's a lot of like a high fever is how I'm getting, it's being presented to me, with like this high fever, and I feel delirium, which also is interesting because there's also other things. It's like the Washoe has welcomed everybody and their brother in almost. There's a lot of different energies that are here in and out. So it's almost like every single building in this town, I think, are haunted with the same energies. So they don't belong to just this building. They all belong to each other. And so even though there might be something like, let's say in the Silver Queen, they might be kind of correlation, but at the same time they can hop between spaces, and they're making me feel like this is now like a lot of different people. There's a crazy lady in this space, whatever it is, which I do feel like was a house, is how it's being presented to me. But they're also making me feel like she's not. She's making me feel like she might have like lost her abilities to think prior to her passing, which usually means to me somebody that has dementia or Alzheimer's. And they're really making me feel like she comes through as a very weird energy now. And so unfortunately, with people who pass in those type of situations, more so back in the day, not today necessarily, and it's because they didn't really have people who take care of them. But I feel like she can come through differently and manifest her energy in different ways. And so I don't necessarily know that she's actually a part of this space. She might be, but I feel like there's a lady who completely lost her sensibilities here. Also, I'm getting like this weird vibe of like sanitarium, hospital, something, okay? And once again, obviously not connected here specifically, but I do believe that there's something in tunes to and people are taken care of differently here too, okay? Like I don't think they just shoved their people in a building and were like, let's forget about them. They're making me feel like they took care of their people. Thank you. It's so weird. Sorry. ADHD. I just saw a lady sitting at the piano. So I'm like seeing this chick sitting there, but I also have this lady in my head. And then I also have another lady that's over there. So there's like different people, but I don't feel like they belong here. I feel like they're amongst different spaces or places in different buildings. And so their story doesn't correlate with this space, essentially. And also, I'm not going to get into all the gunslinging, the craziness, the nuttiness. I'm not going to get into that because I feel like that's just power for the course. Also, are the dead bodies beneath me?
Yes, pretty close.
Dude. Now I'm curious. Do you know if this place was ever a hospital? Probably not. I was gonna say probably not. I don't know what the morgue has to do with this building. That's my curiosity. What the hell did they stick the morgue in this building for? Was it just because of the way that the building was that it created a pocket of cold? and it was able to like refrigerate the bodies, because they're making me feel like this is completely asinine to stick the bodies in this space. I don't understand the correlation between the two spaces, but they're making me feel like it's one of the only places that had like the ability to store them the way that they needed to be stored through, I
Winter.
guess, the season. Because they're making me feel like it's a season. It's not like indefinitely.
Yeah.
It's a season that it has to take place. And so, yes, there's a whole lot there. Also, I feel like somebody was chucked off here, okay? They're making me feel like somebody was just... Once again, please acknowledge the fact that I'm talking to people in my head, not Crystal's words. He said ass over apple cart. He said somebody flew ass over apple cart here down into the morgue, essentially is how he's presenting this to me. And as graphic as he's describing this, because he's making me feel like the graphics were there, he's making me feel like I feel like I'm running. I feel like I'm running. It's almost like a situation where I'm trying to get away from somebody and somebody just freaking cowboy kicks their ass over this space. And I think that the misconception was that they were thrown over. You know, they were not thrown, and I don't think they were already passed. He's making me feel like, no, they got kicked over and into, which is weird, because also, what is with a well? Is there a well here?
I wasn't told about a well, no.
I feel like there's a well. I feel like there's a space. I feel like there's something here that houses water. And it's weird because how I'm receiving this is it feels like it's underground. It doesn't feel like it's above ground. And that's why I said well, because that also contributes to some of the tomfoolery and some of the bad behavior that ended up taking place in the Washoe, okay? Also gonna say that some of the things that people will see, feel, and experience up here is, once again, shadow people. They will feel pushed, they will feel prodded, they will feel poked, they will feel pulled, they will feel like their hair is being pulled. Some people will be scratched up here, and some people will be called by name. Kind of probably gotta tell people not to follow you home, because I feel like people here, saying very loosely, these are energies, entities, these are not human spirits, definitely have the ability to mess with you mentally and emotionally. And so you would have to be of strong mind and body to be able to communicate with anything up here or stay up here for sort of a long space and time, because I don't feel like we're dealing specifically with just human energies anymore. So with that being said, that's kind of all I have to say about this place. I feel like there's been a lot of things that have happened over the years. I think it's changed a lot of hands over the years. I feel like it's been a lot of different things over the years. I feel like there's a lot that could be said about the space over the years, but they're really making me feel like none of that's relevant today. What's relevant about the space is what the space was created to be, and that's really all they fucking want to talk about. Excuse my French again, but they're making me feel like that's the only thing they want to talk about, because they're making me feel like, you know, I don't think you guys are ever going to find all the information on this space. I think there was a lot of dark things that actually happened here. I think there was a lot of cover-ups. I think there were a lot of murders. I think there were also a couple suicides based on how I'm receiving this. And they're also just making me feel like all of these stories have already been told, so what the hell's the point? It doesn't really matter. The history is here. It is what it is. And if you want to experience the history, well then, come here and take a look for yourself. But at the same time, I think that what you get here is what you are. So if you come in here into this space and you're not, if you're wanting to be scared, they'll scare you. If you're somebody who's more on the positive aspect, you're gonna have more positive aspect. If you're somebody who's like creeped out or is skeptic or whatever, you might not experience anything at all. It's kind of dependent on you and what you bring to the space. And it's weird because they're making me feel like that's the whole town. They're making me feel like Spirit doesn't like to talk to people here. I feel like they don't trust us, which I don't blame them. We've kind of done a shitty thing to paranormal. But at the same time, they're making me feel like they don't necessarily trust that their stories are going to be told the correct way. So why would they tell their stories? And so with that being said, I'm grateful for what they did show me. Grateful for this. Once again, I say Black Bart a lot, but I don't know how to say it in any other ways. He's a guy. Like, he's a big guy. I don't feel like he was massively, insanely big. I almost want to say he's probably about 5'10", maybe 5'10", maybe 6 foot tops. But I feel like he's got a lot of stuff on. He wears a lot of stuff and he likes to make a lot of noise. And because of that, his energy is a little bit crazy. And also you will hear talking, you will hear singing, you will hear music being played. You will definitely hear people walking all over the place. And once again, there are other things that you'll experience. So if you ever have the ability to come here and sit with the energies, one, be nice, be empathic, be kind, because there's a lot of stories that have taken place here that weren't the greatest. But these are people's lives. These are their stories. So keep that in mind too. I feel like that's really all it is that they want to share with me. Like, there's so much more here. I really seriously feel like there's so much more here that they're not telling me. And I wish they would divulge the information differently, because they sound like terrifying stories. They're making me feel like there's a whole dark aspect of this space that they just don't want to get into with me. And I don't know why, but I feel like I'm missing part of this, and I wish that they would tell me what it is. But once again, I can't force spirit to speak to me. It's upon them if they would choose to. As like I said, I don't know why there would be so many of what they're showing to me. I feel like there were a lot of murders here. They're making me feel like there's like this card game gone wrong that just ended up in the whole freaking debacle. And I feel like there's like this weird Western shoot 'em up thing that takes place here. And it's just the weirdest situation, because I feel like it's completely out of context. But I also feel like they invited the wrong person to the game. They're making me feel like, dang it, we shouldn't have invited them to the game. We knew we shouldn't have invited them to the game, but we did anyway. And well, look how it ended. It wasn't pretty. And also, it was easy to get away with what they got away with, because I feel like the cops were involved. I feel like everybody was involved. It's just a thing. And so different times would never get away with what they got away with here today.
Now, question.
Yeah.
If the negative or the energies, the entities that are up here, if somebody lived up here, would that influence them
Yes.
in a negative way?
Yes.
Okay.
The energies in this town could definitely influence people in a negative way, kind of like what we saw last night in our hotel.
Yeah.
So here's the issue. Once again, I don't want to say that this is human spirit that I'm receiving, because it doesn't feel human to me. I feel like this is something completely otherworldly. I call them more primal energies or earth energies. I don't really feel as though I don't really feel as though these are energies that I don't think they ever walked on earth as humans. I think these are energies that came through because they attached to humans and they were able to take root here. And I think that most of the things that go on in this location and have went on in this location are probably due to some of those energies attaching to other people and maybe manipulating their mind and taking them down, so to speak. Because, like I said, there's a different vibe here. It's a very different vibe. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I keep getting murder, suicide, murder, suicide, murder, suicide, okay? And either way, this person is this to me, which means that they were not necessarily of their sound mind and body prior to their crossing over, and that means that they would have been affected negatively by the energies of the space, yes. Also, I don't know if anybody's lived up here since, because I feel like there has. Because you're making me feel like there's like people who have lived here since then, on and off. And I think some of those people have also done some bad things. And they're making me feel like, once again, you know, but I have to give spirit right now a lot of love because of the heart that they're showing in the conversations, right. Okay? They don't want to speak ill. They don't want to talk badly or negatively themselves about these situations, okay? When somebody does something tragically, obviously if I'm the person, like let's say that somebody does something to my son, obviously I'm going to have some ill feelings towards somebody, right? Because I lost my son. But at the same time, there's other people who really love them still. And so either way, you have two people who are lost, essentially in the same crime. And they're making me feel like they don't want to put them under the bus like that. They're making me feel like the situation deserves more love, and I don't feel like it's the proper time to have conversations the way that they're having conversations about that. If that makes sense. They're making me feel like they don't want to get into some of those stories.
Yeah.
Because they aren't their stories, and the very fact that the person isn't here to tell it themselves mean that they've crossed over and they're happy and they're at peace and they're good where they're at, no matter what the situation or circumstance is. And so I'm believing, based on the time period that they're presenting this to me, they're making me feel like there are people alive today that would still know these people and still be involved in these people's lives. And they're making me feel like, with love, they're going to just say that because it's not their story to tell. And also on top of that, I don't feel like it should be told in a negative way. It should be told with love, because this person specifically had a lot of things stacked up against them in life, and they deserved a lot more than what was handed to them too. And so even though the outcome may have been what the outcome was, they're 100% not making me feel like it's all on the person who may have followed through or did what was done. And I'm gonna just say it that way, okay? There's a lot to that story, and there's a lot of people that love them greatly. Wow. Do you know, fuck my life. Do you know if there was a man and woman that lived up here or stayed up here?
No.
Okay. I'm getting a woman coming through, and I have absolutely no clue how she's connected to the space, but she's making me feel like she passed in tragic circumstances. She's an absolute phenomenal human, but she's also making me feel like she is closely connected. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say too much, because I feel like this is going into territory that I'm not comfortable with. And I love that she's coming through right now, because I feel like I might know who this is. And if it is who I think it is, like, wow, what an honor to be able to talk to this person. But I'm also going to say, she's just giving a lot of love to anybody who may end up watching this, because she's just got such a grateful, beautiful, sensational heart. She was definitely a freaking sassy woman. This was a woman who said what she meant what she said, and she didn't take no shit from nobody. She is a beautiful human being, and I absolutely love her energy, and she is making me feel like she pops in up here sometimes, and she is making me feel like she does not belong here, but she's also not stuck here. She's wanting everybody to know. And also, I believe that paranormal was 100% one of her most specialties. She is making me feel like she is closely connected in paranormal form here in this space, and also with a lot of people. So I don't know who she is. I know she's fire. I know she's love. I know she's amazing, but I don't know how she fits into this space. I do know that she passed tragically, and she is making me feel, and I'm going to say this very sparingly because I've got my stop sign being given, which means, Crystal, do not speak the words. Do not tell the story, because once again, there's a time, a place, and respect involved in this. But she's making me feel like there were attachments involved in her story too, based on the person who may have done what they did. Because both people involved, she's doing this, which means closeness and love. She is making me feel like both people involved are full of fucking love. Not only for their life, not only for their journey, not only for the people and the spaces and the things that they get to do. She is making me feel like they really loved each other. Life happened. Life happened, is what she said. And she is just making me feel like to give honor and space is closure. And so she's just with a very grateful heart sitting here saying that she loves this. Like, I love this. She loves the space, she loves the energy, and she loves to be able to prove that this is fucking accurate. She is making me feel like her whole fucking life is coming to fruition right now, because she is able to speak in such a way to somebody who's an idiot who doesn't know who the fuck she is. I feel like I should know who she is. I really feel like I should know who she is. So I'm just gonna say that. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm closing this down, okay? Closing this down.
I could tell you who I think she is. Do you know Debbie? Is her name Debbie? Does she have red hair? Does she have red hair?
Mark and Debbie Constantino, they worked with Zach and...
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
She told me her name was fucking Debbie.
Yeah, that's her.
I was like, Debbie? I never get names. Debbie? Are you Debbie? Oh my god. Oh my god. She was like, literally, I felt like I cannot tell you how stupid she made me feel. I love her for that though, because she seems like she's a lot like me with her spicy.
Yeah.
But she's really, like, she's like sitting there, like, bashing my head against a brick wall, like, bitch, you should know who the hell I am. And I'm like, I know nothing. I don't think people realize how stupid I am. It's not an act. I really don't know you. And I'm sorry, I would love to know you. And I would love to know your story. But also at the same time, not the girl. I didn't do that. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I didn't tell your story accurately, but I feel like I told it the way you wanted me to. And I really appreciate you for giving it through me. So thank you so very much. What an honor. I know who she is based on what she told me. So.
Hey, Ben.
What?
Can you move away from there? I don't know if it's picking up on you. I highly doubt it is.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Is there... I can't stop it. This thing is playing in old recording.
I feel like all of our equipment tonight, Debbie, is going insane. Is it the place or is it you? If it's you, can you make that go off? Is it the place itself?
I can't even turn this thing off.
That was probably one of the most interesting things I feel like I've ever experienced. One of the most interesting things. So I'm going to do what I set out to do.
That's Morse code. Let me go get the envoy.
If you give us just a second, we have something that will help you talk to us. I was trying to take people through a walkthrough up here, and the REM pod started going off by itself. So I'm just gonna stay. Well, first off, I'm gonna walk up to it. Hey, I'm also the only person in here right now. Ben is downstairs. Am I getting too close? Yes. It will pick me up, by the way. So I'm not actually sure. This is me making it go off, by the way. Okay, so I'm gonna walk back down. And I'm gonna try to, like, I don't know, walk away. I don't know why. So I'm going to say that somebody is messing with a REM pod, and I think it's awesome. If you are wanting to interact with us, can you touch the REM pod and make the green button go off? Can you get closer? And also, because of what I just received in messages, is this you, Debbie? If it's you, Debbie, specifically, can you possibly stand next to it and touch it? And you are doing exactly that, thank you. You know how this works. I don't know where Ben put the recorder. If there is something that you want to say, can you possibly find where we put the recorder and say what you need to say? And
What are you trying to say? Thank you, that thing is loud. Go over here. You can pick letters as the cursor passes by. All you have to do is tap on it. That little red light on the right hand side. My right hand side. There you go. E-T-E-E.